All right, Cage Side Press, one of our regulars now, Mr. Arias Garcia, matchmaker of CFFC. Arias, how we doing?
Good, Jake. How you doing, buddy?
Good. I feel like I said your last name weird. It's Garcia. I feel like I said
Yeah,
Garcias or something. Sorry, it
yeah,
was CFFC Arias Garcia Jr. Pretty easy, but yeah, man. Happy New Year. Holidays good and everything.
yeah, man. How about you? How was your holiday?
Nice and relaxing, just how I like it. Got to enjoy some Cage Fury 128. I mean, that's probably a good place to start. I guess what's your like overall impressions of that card?
Man, it was really great. It was I think it was highlighted by Rob Wiley defending his title successfully. Great undercard, great main card. I really didn't have any complaints. The show went really well.
And just for everybody watching, just not the typical fighter interview. The way this will be structured, so you can fast forward or rewind or do whatever you got to do. We're going to talk some CFFC 128. We'll get into some future Cage Fury stuff and kind of recap 2023 as a whole too. But like I said, let's keep going on this Cage Fury 128 because along with
Yep.
that and Fury Pro 8, big end of the year for Cage Fury. And like I said, lucky enough to actually cover Cage Fury 128 in person. Insane card. So I have like 7 questions here to ask you and your thoughts as the matchmaker, and I'm just going to run down one by one. You ready?
Go ahead. Yep.
My buddy Nick Galante made his pro debut. Very impressive. I guess what are your thoughts on him out of Dante Rivera, BJJ?
I was really happy to get Nick into the pro ranks. Amateurs, it's hard to deal with because sometimes they pull out. They're, a lot less responsible. So it was really not easy, but it was easier to get Nick an opponent to step up. Cromartie, no easy opponent, trains with Hoggy and them, with Aaron Blanchfield. And I was happy, we kind of got 2 submissions out of one, but, it was a great performance. I know, spoke to Dante afterwards. Dante was super excited to get, Nick into the pro ranks. And I think he's got a super bright future, really good team. He ended his amateur career with a loss. But again, he was ready. He was more than ready. And with amateur fight falling through, it was just the right time to bring him up as pros. And anyone that comes out of that Dante Rivera gym, I'm more than happy to give him a shot at the pro ranks. And he did great.
Oh, absolutely. 2 subs in one night, man. It was ref missed the
Yeah,
first one, but he didn't matter. Got
yeah,
it done a couple minutes later. So yeah, that was
yeah,
great. And then another person that stood out to me, I think still on the prelims, maybe not, but Anthony Delemy beat up Keith Speed, even with Keith Speed missing weight. And that was a very close fight. So like, what were your
yeah.
thoughts on that one?
So the one of probably the biggest compliment I can give to a fighter is their mental toughness. And Delemy has the physical attributes, and he also has the mental toughness. He's faced so much adversity in his few fights with us. He fought Issa Dalipaj, got knocked down by Issa Dalipaj early, came back and beat him. He had, you mentioned that, Keith missed weight. This is the second opponent to miss weight. When he fought Robert Wustig, that was, a guy that took the fight on 72 hours notice, and that was up a weight class. So he comes from a great team. Another solid performance. He doesn't give up. And like I said, Jake, one of the biggest compliments I can ever give a fighter is their mental fortitude and their perseverance. And Delemy has that. And while some people can quit and face adversity and not do as well, Delemy seems to thrive in that. So I'm really excited for him and his future as well.
Yeah, Delemy's the man, and somebody else on the card who I wasn't very familiar with until this card. Got to meet him in person, talked to him a little bit, got a great video of him afterwards. Fumi Nakuda. Love this guy, love his style. I don't know how long he's going to be around the regional scene, but what are your thoughts on him and his Cage Fury performance?
Yeah, man. Pumi looked great. I know he took some time off with the hand injury, and he might be dabbling in some pro wrestling. He was our 125 champ, and thought other, did other ventures, and I looked for an opponent for Hunter, and Orrin from his management team hit me up right away and was like, Pumi will take it. I shot it right over to Hunter, and they were like 2 seconds. They were like, "Yeah, we're in." Um, so yeah, man, he looked great at 35. Short notice, and Hunter's a huge 35, and
Yeah.
it was a really good fight. Yeah, like you said, I think Pumi definitely deserves a shot in a bigger organization. His speed was his speed was still there at 35. I mean, I think he'll have better success at 25. But if it's a huge cut for him, he's just too talented. I think no matter what weight class he'll stay, 35 or 25, he looked great. And that was against a big opponent. with probably like a less than a week notice. So really awesome. And props again to Hunter for, accepting that fight because he didn't have to.
Yeah, big shout out Hunter Starner. Number one, gave me an interview, appreciate the time. But two, took a fight on a week's notice, and then last time out had Sterling pull out night of the fight.
Yeah,
So Hunter's hope you definitely keep him around. I'm a big fan of him.
we will. We will. You'll see him again.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Going down my list, another buddy of mine, and I would love to hear your thought on this because sitting cage side, I thought Eric Nolan. I didn't only think he won. I thought he low key got robbed just because personally, I didn't see any way you could score round 2 or 3 for Alonzo. I mean, round 1 was obviously Alonzo, but round 2, even though Alonzo was on top, Eric ended up on top, had the damage, had the activity. Round 3, Eric came back and won that round clearly, but I was very confused and upset about the score. Props to Alonzo. Close fight,
Yeah.
I guess, but what are your thoughts?
First of all, how many interviews have you done with Eric?
I know I have some bias here. I'm not saying I don't have bias.
Yeah. And listen, I have some bias. I don't really have any bias. I love Eric. And I've gotten to know Alonzo a little bit. And I like him too.
Yeah, he was a nice guy.
I hate the word robbery, especially when it's a close fight. I kind of agree with you. Like if you look at it round by round, Alonzo took the first and then Eric takes the second. So it's all about how you score, the third and final round. I hate the comment on close decisions because if I say who I thought won, someone's going to be mad at me. So I'm going to keep my opinion to myself. But no, I think if you told me Alonzo won, I could see it. And if you told me Eric won, I could see that as well. It was a close fight. I hate to use the Dana White phrase, "Don't let it go to the judges." But some of these guys are just too evenly matched and too talented that you're not going to be able to get Eric Nolan out in 3 rounds. You're not going to be able to get an Alonzo turnaround in 3 rounds. But no, it wasn't a robbery, Jake. Come on, it was a close fight. With the third round, could score either way. And two judges had it for Alonzo, one had it for Eric. I thought it was a great, fight. It propels Alonzo. It doesn't really stall Eric. Eric's still, considered as one of my top 170s at CFFC. So, Eric will come back and hopefully we'll see him in April back in Atlantic City.
Yeah, I'm making it sound like it wasn't a close fight. It was a close fight. I just, I obviously thought it went one way and it went the other. But like I said,
Right.
great job to Alonzo. And Eric looked, amazing. I think the best he's ever
Yeah.
looked, honestly, until he, got sat on his butt for a couple minutes. But question there too that I didn't actually write down and send to you. In a previous interview, you told me this was a welterweight title eliminator. So does that mean Alonzo is next for the title?
Yeah. I mean, if all works out, me and Alonzo's father has been talking. I did offer him a quick turnaround in February for the February 9th card. It just wasn't in the cards. We'll see, because we still have, I still like to see, what Raheem Forrest has to say. He
Mm-hmm.
he lost on contenders to the right hand of God, left hand of God. I don't know which hand of God it is, but he's still in the mix. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, Alonzo's definitely, in the running. We were supposed to have Kevin Pease on the February 9th card against Manny Morales, but Kevin got injured. So that's so we're working. It's a great problem to have so many good prospects at the welterweight division. But yeah, they're all in the mix right now.
Awesome, man. Excited to see how that all plays out. And poor Manny, we got to get Manny a freaking fight, huh?
February 9th.
All right, good. Well, we'll get into that in a little bit. But
Yeah,
three more questions about 128 just that
sure.
stood out to me. Rob Varicchio, dominance. And I mean, he looks better every time out. In his post-fight interview, he said, what did he say? He said 5-0, 5 finishes, either title shot or UFC's next. So what are your thoughts on that performance? And could he possibly get a title shot next?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about it a little bit later because I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about the main event. But yeah, like he's definitely next if he wants it. Rob is such a stud that I would hate to see those guys fight on a regional scene. But yeah, I mean Rob, like you said, 5-0. I think all of the stoppages have come in the first round, but maybe
Mm-hmm.
one or two. He comes from a great team with Tiger Showman. He's got stand up, he's got the wrestling, he's got the submissions. He's a real total package, and he's great on the mic, as you saw at the end there, calling for a title shot. So yeah, uber great prospect at lightweight. So it's kind of like some of these cards are matchmaking itself when it comes to the future of these guys.
Oh yeah, dude. Watley and Barricchio would be a great title fight right there.
Yep.
And next one, co-main event. Another guy I got some bias for. Luke Fernandez got it done, got his hand raised, got the belt wrapped around him, light heavyweight champion, finally filled that spot. So, one, how does it feel to have a light heavyweight champion? And two, how you feel about Luke Fernandez?
So it feels great. We didn't want to give Luke the title fight that early, but Jake, I think we've talked in previous interviews. No one will fight this guy.
Yeah.
And the only reason why we did a title fight is because number one, he's probably one of the top prospects at 205 in the country, and really no one will fight him. So that was like to incentivize, his opponents to come fight him. And Peter New came all the way from California, had a respectable 4-2 record coming off a win, and he put up a good fight.
Yeah.
I think Luke did a walk off, but it wasn't really a walk off in the first round. So
Close.
Peter gave him some trouble, but like you can only Luke's going to get you either way. His father Tito's great. Dante's great, and it's awesome to have a 205 champion because that's something we've been lacking for a couple years. And of course, you see the crowd he brings. I think we talked about this before, Jake. He broke our ticket selling record that was held by Jonathan for a few years. So it's not only great to have a talented champion, but it's just an extra bonus if that champion can move tickets the way he does and promote himself, which he has been.
Yeah, Luke's I was shocked at how many people were chanting Luke Fernandez in there. That was awesome. So
Yeah.
Lukey, props, buddy, and New. And then yeah, Peter New looked pretty good too until he got
Yeah.
cracked. Then he had a hard time getting back on his feet. But
Yeah.
I'd like to see more of him too. He was also a nice guy. And
Absolutely.
my last question about 128, the main event, Robert Watley defending the belt. Honestly, regional scenes, I feel like you don't see a whole lot of title defenses because a lot of times they win the belt to get the call somewhere.
Yeah.
And Robert got to do it, and he was super, super happy about it. Said it's like the most important thing in his life right now. So, how do you feel about Robert, and how bright do you think his future is?
Yeah, so I've known Robert for years now. Rob's been fighting for us for a while. He's fought like Pat Sabatini was front row. He's in the UFC. Rob Raleigh beat him. He's got a couple wins over people that have gone on to the UFC. I can't say enough good things about Rob, um, and what he's done and the trials and tribulations that he's been through. If you haven't seen it, go on UFC Fight Pass or YouTube page, and he'll talk about his struggles. I think his story was story of the year for Fight Pass. So if you haven't, really go check that out. I think he's really one of the top 155ers in the country that's not signed. He's a little older. I think he's like 33, 34,
Mm-hmm.
but his talent is undeniable. He took out Armando Jecha, and I think the world of that guy. He was a champ in another organization before coming here. And Rob, felt him out the first round and just, wore him down and submitted him. It'd be a disservice if he's not in the UFC or a bigger organization in 2024.
Oh yeah, he's an absolute dog and a very humble guy too. I was very happy to see him get that defense. So 128, obviously great card. The last cage rate card of 2023. You also had Fury grappling at the end of 2023, and we were supposed to
Yep.
do this interview before that, so I was going to get really into it, but I guess I'll just say that was an awesome card, star-studded card, and I just want to ask you about that main event. How do you feel about all the butt scooting?
First of all, I'll say this: it was nice going to a show and have zero responsibilities
Right?
and watch Donovan, Rob, and Brad Sal. But yeah, the highlight for me even before the main event, Dawkins versus Romanov. Dawkins continued to look great body wise at 205. He probably is like a super small heavyweight now, but I don't know, Jake. I'm not the grappling guy, so I was kind of on the favor of Aljo. But
Yeah.
all the jujitsu guys are saying Aljo lost. I wish there would have been some more engagement, some more showmanship, because that's what people want to see. People want to see a show. I just hope that doesn't deter other UFC guys coming. But listen, I grappling's not my forte, so I thought Aljamain was trying to engage. They said he wasn't, but who knows? What did you think, Jake?
So I do jujitsu now, so I'm an expert on this
All
subject.
right, so tell me.
I'm team Dantzler, man. Team Kevin Dantzler
Okay.
there. So it's jujitsu, you know what I mean? Did you see Mikey Musumeci put out a video about this? He's
No,
like world famous jujitsu one champion, but
don't know.
he basically said it's jujitsu. In jujitsu, the goal is to pass a guard. So like Aljamain, it's like it's not that simple. Like if Aljamain takes him down, he's going to land in his guard anyways and have the same thing to pass him. So it's like in a bar fight, obviously, no, you're not going to butt scoot. And you'd get your head kicked in. But in a jiu-jitsu match, it's the name of the game. So I got to give it to Dancer, man, you know?
Okay.
But I
Well,
agree, it's not the most exciting thing for the
yeah,
casual fan.
we'll agree to disagree.
Hey, that's fine. You got to sell tickets. You're the matchmaker. I get it. Well, that's Jonathan Webb, but no,
Yeah,
regardless, it was a great show, and I found the main event to be entertaining.
yeah,
So let's just recap 2020 real quick. I'm going to ask you a few questions, not necessarily awards, but maybe your opinion if a particular fight or moment stood out to
yeah,
you. And I know you can't be too biased. You're the matchmaker. You love everybody,
yeah.
but we all got our opinions. So let's start with I guess the big one, or a bigger one. You have a fight of the year or a favorite fight or a fight that really stood out to you?
Yeah, so my fight of the year was I'm going to butcher his name, but the Lotus, Bad Mathurin, versus
Good luck with that
Shamel
name.
Finley in Tampa. I love that fight. I think the first round both guys knocked each other down. And then the Lotus just poured it on. It was really like an older guy teaching a younger guy. Um, you know, and to me that was the fight of the year. It had a lot of background to it too, because the Lotus, it came from Anthony Pettis,
Hmm.
another Fight Pass show, and he was a champion there. They wanted to collect another belt, and Shamel, I love Shamel. He's done great for us, and I talked to Shamel afterwards. He was super upset, but I said, I've seen many people in our own organization, CFFC, lose a title fight and not even a year or two later get called up to the UFC. So I
Yeah.
think Shamel will be better for it. And I think, the White Lotus is going to be on his way to the UFC. But that was probably my favorite fight of the year.
That was a good one. And yeah, I talked to Schmel after that too. And I mean, that's just experience. He's so young.
Yeah.
That's going to
Yeah.
go a long way in his next fight. So yeah, he'll be
Agreed.
back real soon. And Lotus definitely got a bright future as well. So along with the fight of the year, you have a fighter of the year or a couple guys that stand out?
Yeah. So I got two guys, my 1A and 1B. The 1A, we talked about him, how can you top Luke Fernandez,
Yeah.
uh 2023 turns pro, 3-0, three stoppages, and at the end of the year becomes champion. Can't really have a better year than that. My only other guy that I had up there was actually, Marquez Forrest. Almost similar type of situation. He turns pro, he goes 4-0, has three stoppages, and the only fight that went to a decision was when he took a fight on a few days' notice to fight Caracappa at 170. And that fight, there's so many things that I don't think I've talked about it publicly, that it was just so close to not happening. There was a hurricane in Tampa where
Ooh.
Marquez was fine. He got an eye exam like the morning of his flight, and then the eye exam showed like something weird in his eye. The Serb denied him, so we had to get him seen by like a retina specialist. The person he saw in Tampa was a retina specialist. So we're
Fun.
at weigh-ins, and we don't even know this fight's happening until Serb gave us the green light because we got a letter. And he Marquez is a great guy. Unfortunately, he lost his coach a few months ago, Franklin Cisneros, who cornered him in Philly. So just my condolences to his team. But yeah, those are my thing too. I mean, I'm probably missing a few, but those are the two that really stood out to me.
Oh, I mean, they're top of the list for sure. There's plenty of guys who have great years, but I
Yeah.
can't deny either of those guys that kind of spot. I know we kind of did fight of the year, but is there like a moment of the year, necessarily not in a fight, could be outside of a fight, anything like that?
No, so two things really. First is my favorite event of the year was CFFC 120
Good one.
at the Hard Rock. Wilson, I think, defeated Arroyo in the main event.
Hmm.
That was the return of Charlie Campbell. He comes back from his loss in the Contender Series. That propels him to the UFC. Dennis Bazukia finally got Dennis after all these years. He comes in, gets the sub. He goes to the UFC. We
Kyle
got
Dawkins.
Aljamain Sterling into the CFFC Hall of Fame. That was a special. Taking him to dinner the night before, seeing him cry in front of the crowd while we gave him the medallion from Spivak Jewelers, and like you said, Kyle Dawkins returned. So that was a really cool event for me to put on. And my moment of the year is probably you know, the birth of CFFC Match Day. Wrestling's near and dear to my heart. Both my sons wrestle. And I know that was Rob's, pastime and his favorite sport. So, and for that to really take off and did what it did, to see the birth of that was really, phenomenal. I just wish I could have gotten to more of them, with my work schedule and everything. But that was probably seeing that, come in, and I know, the 2024 schedule for CFFC match day is probably going to be ridiculous, and we're going to get more, high caliber schools. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, match day is it's a lot of fun. I'm excited to make my way out to one of those finally. And then just
You
real
could have been
quick,
it yesterday. We had it at the Hard
I
Rock.
know
You could have been
I
there.
couldn't. I was just so busy this weekend, man. Just next time you guys are in the area, I got to go because I haven't been to match day yet, and I'm going to Muay
All
Thai.
right.
But so these next two, I'll just do them together real quick.
Mhm.
Knockout of the year, sub of the year. Any candidates?
Yeah, yeah. So I didn't go to the show, but Jamel Jones, he knocked out Jesse Murray, and I was like, holy you know,
Yeah,
um, Jesse Murray got flatlined, and a lot of people aren't, jumping up to fight Jamel, but he KO'd him. That was really really awesome. Sub of the year, I think Dylan Mantello versus Charlie Alexander. I don't know if you remember that fight, Jake, but I think,
comeback.
yeah, I think Dylan got floored, and then he like got a guillotine, and I think Charlie tapped with like a second or two left. And that submission propelled him to his appearance
Contender
on the
series. Yep.
Contender Series. So it was really really significant win.
That was one of my favorite submissions ever. Just like
Yeah,
I was there in it was nuts. It was absolutely
yeah,
nuts. And he came out of the cage all bloody and beat up with the
yeah.
win. That was a good one. That was a good one. Asked you about card of the year, 120, got the poster, amazing card. And I guess anything that didn't happen in 2023 that you had hoped would happen that you still want to make happen.
Not really, Jake. Not really. I mean, the fights that I would love to get, like, kind of like with Armando, and kind of like with Bad Matchern. I would love to get other regional champions to fight on our card, to fight our champions. I put CFFC champions against any regional show in the
Oh yeah.
world. And I was it was a pleasure working with Anthony Pettis to get the White Lotus over here. Armando was a champion in another organization. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking to, I hate the term super fights, but I would just love to see, the best of the best come and fight each other. And like I said, I put our champions against anybody.
I mean, I
So I'm
like
hoping to
super
do more
fights.
of that in 2024.
Well, let's segue into 2024. Let's give the fans what they want, what they came for. I don't know if that's what they came for. That's what I'm excited to
Maybe.
talk about. But so the first thing in 2024 that's happening, well, maybe not the first thing, but soon, CFFC Muay Thai #1 on January 27th. My coach, Dan O'Neill from Droogs MMA, is on the card. We just bought a table today. Super excited. That's a great event. What are your thoughts on this? And I know like that's all Eddie Torres running the show over there. So what's your involvement with that? Are you also just going to enjoy?
I'm just going to enjoy, Jake. I get a lot of people hitting me up about it, and I give them to, like you said, there's Manny's helping out, Manny Fernandez, Eddie Torres, James Meals. Um, the response has been phenomenal about people, that want to get on that card. So I'm super excited about it. I saw the card, and I'm not too familiar with the guys, which I think is good, because I'm going to go in there with the clean slate and just, to see what these guys got. But yeah, I'm super excited. Tickets are on sale. Again, it's another aspect of the brand of CFFC that we're trying to build.
Oh, it's gonna be a good one too, man. Muay Thai is vicious, and with
Yeah,
the 4-ounce gloves and Eddie running the show, making the matches, it's gonna be a good night. So another thing, I guess I'm gonna start prying now. I'm gonna start trying to get some answers
all
out of you now. What my favorite thing to do. Obviously match day and Fury grappling are more stuff you guys do. So before I get into actual Cage Fury, any other like match day or Fury grappling news you're aware of that you can tell or anything like that, or just waiting to see?
yeah, we're just going to wait and see. Rob and Brad probably got a lot of stuff cooking I don't know about, but I think the schedule is going to be aggressive for CFFC match day. I think the response we've gotten so far has been great from our partners at UFC Fight Pass. So I'm hoping I'm hoping to see more Cage Fury, the Fury Pro grappling cards. Hoping to do 4 or 6 this year, and we're gonna. I love Fury grappling. We get to bring these UFC talent locally to our area, and it's just fun. It's just fun for the fans. So I'm hoping that we get 4 to 6. Hopefully we can do those this year.
Did you see who it was Bloody Elbow. It was Bloody Elbow. They put out an article about Fury grappling, and they tagged Fury from Texas.
Oh,
Everybody's like, dude, that's wrong. They
yeah,
fixed it, but it was like, you people.
yeah.
So no, Cage Fury is very different and putting on your own shows. So now the fun part, fights. Cage Fury 2024. Cage Fury 129. That's the next card, and that one's
Yep,
February 9th, right?
correct.
Anything, I know you're hard at work, and I know I already kind of know of some things in the works just from talking to fighters, but are you able to tell us anything about the card yet?
Not now, not yet. I will. Sorry, I want to. We're going to be, depending on how quick you put this out. We're going to be you're going to see a lot of announcements coming soon for February 9th at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia. You're going to see a lot of announcements coming up. I won't spoil anything. Jake, normally I break something on your show, but I can't this time.
It's all good.
But
Conversation's all I want, my friend.
yeah, so just stay tuned to our social media, our website, cffc.tv, and you'll see some announcement coming out.
All right, I'm gonna pry a little bit more and just try to get something. Is there gonna be a title fight on the card? Can you say that?
Yes, yes,
One, two, one.
maybe two. Definite one right now.
We'll keep it at that. That's enough good news for me.
Yep.
So I guess beyond 129, anything else? Like, what do you know the schedule off the top of your hand for the next couple cards yet?
Yeah, I mean March 8th, we're going to be back in Tampa. You're going to see. I will tell you this: you'll see the White Lotus defend his title. March 8th in Tampa. You're going to see a lot of the local Tampa guys back on that card. That's going to be super great. April is going to be at the Hard Rock. You're going to see Luke Fernandez defend his title. So April's at the Hard Rock in Atlantic City. So that'll be a really good card.
Dude, you broke news. What do you mean? That's fun things to tell
A
people.
little bit, a little bit.
I can say opponent TBD, and everyone's gonna be like, "Ooh, oh, that got me excited right there, dude." So I guess obviously, big moves already in the works, and we're 8 days into January. So, looking ahead, what goals do you have for 2024? Like both personally and as a matchmaker in Cage Fury.
Yeah, I mean, one of the goals I probably already said was just, having more of these champions come into CFFC fighting our champions. My goals are a lot less specific now. Maybe, goal was to get to CFFC 100. We did that. Goal was to, have a CFFC champion become a UFC champion. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm 45. I mean, can I see 200? I don't know. Can we see a female champion? I would love to see that if Aaron Blanchfield stays on a track she is. But it's just to get more guys, into the UFC, give them a platform to showcase their skills, make a little bit of money, and continue to expand the Cage Fury brand in combat sports. Last year we were talking about CFFC Match Day and how that's grown. We talked about January Muay Thai. Who knows what we'll see in 2025 combat jiu-jitsu. I don't know. I don't know, Jake. We got to get you in there.
Well, we'll see. We'll see about that. Maybe when I get my blue belt, we'll talk.
All right.
I'll never fight. Maybe I'll roll, but I'll never
There you
fight. I'll tell
go.
you that right now. I'm good. I don't got those
Yeah.
cojones. I'll leave that for the big boys. Arias, last question for you, my man.
Yep.
This one's just a fun one. Let's see how this one ages. Give me a few fighters you think this time next year or throughout 2024 that'll get the call to the UFC, PFL, something like that.
Oh yeah. I mean, we can roll off, all our champions, Mad Matzer and Jose Perez, who I think is in interviews right now for the Ultimate Fighter. Rob Watley, Fatima Klein. Fatima is impossible, to find opponents for. I hope Kyle Dawkins. I seen a recent article about 2024 fighters that could return to the UFC. He was featured on there. I'm hoping Greg gets another shot at something like that. I could see Luke, Raheem, Vericchio, Marquez Fares. I can see all those guys, either going in the UFC or getting a shot on contenders later on this year.
Well, I'm looking forward to a big 2024 with Cage Fury. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't, make sure you go follow at CFFC MMA and go follow Arias on Twitter, Instagram. I'll link all that stuff below. But Arias, my man, thank you so much for the time. Thanks for the insight. Always appreciate talking to the matchmaker, my favorite matchmaker in the whole biz. But yeah, man, 2024, I got a candle, so we'll do a little cheers to that. Yeah.
Anytime, Jake. Thank you, buddy.